Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host from across the pond. It's our resident liberated ape of the pod, DL. How are you, mate?
That's offensive. That is very offensive.
You're liberated.
I've been tan, and you called me an ape.
Oh, wow.
That is rude.
That
is absolutely uncalled. Sorry, man.
Wow. Wow. Everyone's more tan than me.
I went there.
3 weeks in the UK does not help.
I don't think you can get tan.
Ha ha, very ha.
No, he doesn't like this chat, but I've never seen it. But
you have seen it many times.
I've never seen it.
What do you want me to do over here? Do you want me to go?
I am a liberated ape.
Yeah.
Because I am American.
Little shit.
The land of the free, and I am a Homo sapien.
You're a lot
which is a common descendant, a common ancestor to the apes.
Good. I'm glad you're getting this chat
everything
down.
you said stands out.
It's somewhat true. I like that a lot. Yeah. I like that a lot. And I even liked the movie that we're going to talk about today, which is follow on from last week's Rise. Did we do Rise last week? What's the first one? You really can't.
You're like, this is like me and my Chris's. You can't do it.
We did Rise last week.
This is the dawn.
And this was yesterday. Like, so for peek behind the curtain, DL's about to go away for a bit of a holiday. Yeah. Bless his soul. He deserves a holiday after all the holiday we've just had.
I need a holiday.
We literally recorded Rise of the Planet of the Apes yesterday. So
and now it's the dawn of the Planet of the Apes. It's the dawn,
and I have no idea which one's which.
Doesn't the dawn come before the rise?
You would have thought that, right? That's what's confusing me. The naming convention.
Yeah.
The dawn should, the first one should be the dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Also, didn't the fucking person who wrote the title of this have any kind of English grammar teacher? There's a lot of prepositions here.
The dawn
of the Planet of the Apes. It's just a mouthful.
It's dot per at pa. No, wait.
Why wouldn't you just say the dawn of the apes?
Dot per atta? Dot per atta.
Yeah, abbreviated.
Dot per otta.
It's definitely easier.
Dot per otta.
Even though it is a mouthful, it's easier to actually say the name than your
Absolutely.
But what I was call it the dawn of the apes.
That's the first movie. The first movie is the dawn. No, and then it's all about the rise of them, and then it's the war for the Planet of the
opposite. But you could say,
what?
Well, I'm saying you're right. It should be, but
you only rise at dawn, so dawn has to come first.
That's what I agree.
We're saying the same thing.
The rise of the apes, the dawn of the apes, and the
war,
the bedtime of the apes. The sleepy bedtime.
The noon of the Planet of the Apes should be the last one.
Midday.
The siesta.
The high tea of the Planet
I'm looking forward to the siesta of the Planet of the Apes. That's going to be a fun one.
Oh, dear.
Dude, what have you been doing in the last 24 hours? How have you been?
Oh, man. I've been doing quite a bit.
Actually, there was a fair amount. The tennis happened yesterday. Did you see any of the tennis?
I didn't see the tennis because I was watching this.
Such a good game.
Yeah, I was a bit bummed about that.
You know what's frustrating about that game? So the game was amazing, right?
You tell me about it because I didn't watch Sports Center. I didn't get
Medvedev, who was the highest ranking seed left in the tournament, went 2 sets to love up. So normally in tennis, that's a good thing. Yes. This isn't a sports podcast. I'm not going to get too deep into this. But yeah, 2 sets to love up. He's the highest ranked player, playing amazingly. However, the dude who knocked out Novak Djokovic in the previous round, also a very good tennis player, came back and smashed him. And it was amazing. Came back and won 5-2. 5-2? 3-2.
Who is this guy?
He's a young Italian. He's 22. He's called Sinner.
Oh, we watched him the other day, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
My favorite bit about him is my favorite bit about this amazing game of tennis is the fact that Medvedev went two sets to love up, and my delightful partner was like, "I'm tired. Let's go to bed. He's clearly going to win." And we went to bed, and old mate came back and smashed it. I'm so frustrated. I was going for Sinner the whole time.
Yeah, well,
good reaction there, mate.
I didn't see the game, so I appreciate that we did watch this guy, and he was pretty cool.
He was awesome.
I've never seen him before that, and I didn't see the game. So I think it was a good tennis match.
It sounds
what
like
you've described.
I'll never know.
But you're describing it.
I'll never be in that moment to watch that tennis match again.
Sorry, there was a little bit of a blank space there.
I'm
just trying to figure out what to say about some match. And good job, dude.
Well, I'll tell you something that you can absolutely comment on was the fact that our most anticipated of 2024 came out a week or so ago, and people have got opinions.
That we missed things, or about the idiocy of my picks?
Well, I mean, somewhere, little column A, little column B, somewhere in the middle. No, it's more about the fact we missed a couple. I didn't go deep enough on a couple of things. So my brother called out one of these, and we had a couple of friends of the show call out the fact that we didn't talk enough about the fact that there is a trilogy of Sony Spider-Man movies coming out this year. A full fucking trilogy. There's Madam Web. there's Kraven the Hunter, and then there's the third Venom movie, which I completely forgot there was even a second Venom movie.
I don't think I ever saw the second Venom.
I feel like I haven't either. But you're the one who always makes fun of me for not seeing it, so you must have seen it.
It's not that I'm like making fun of you. I just think like of the bad Sony Spider-Man movies, it's definitely the best.
It's up there.
Well, I mean, it's Tom Hardy. It's interesting. We did mention
what about the other
in passing. We mentioned it in passing. We didn't deep dive. You're right.
A trilogy of them. Do you reckon they're going to come together yet?
What do you mean?
Avengers style.
What, like
Madam Web's going to team up with Kraven at the end of the movies.
I hope so. Wouldn't that be something?
My favorite part about this is I think you're going to be away when Madam Web comes out. Is that right?
Fuck.
Are you away?
When does it come out?
I think it comes out around the 14th
of Feb.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you back?
No, that is literally like the 3-day period where I'm still here.
Oh, perfect.
But I leave on the 16th. Yeah,
we've got free tickets. We can go.
Oh, joy!
My partner brought back some free tickets from work, so we get to see that movie completely free. I can't wait. Yay.
Well, I will say this. We did talk about it in the pod, and we acknowledged that it will be the worst movie
of the year.
One of those two, and it's so bad that we don't even count it as one of the worst movie predictions because it's like immune to that.
Well, I mentioned my brother mentioned this to me as well. So we didn't talk about, and I know I didn't talk about it for a reason, but I thought maybe you'd bring it up as one of the, worst potential movies of the year. Bad Boys 4 is coming out this year. Now, like, what is this going to be?
What? I mean, there's plenty of material you can make it about.
Stop it. Did you see Bad Boys 3?
No.
Technically called Bad Boys for Life, which ruins the fact they now can't use Bad Boys for Life for the next one. For like the number 4.
Ah, yeah, that's a mistake.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Big
but
mistake.
I didn't see it. But I mean, surely they could think of something.
It is so bad. It's like,
is it just because Martin Lawrence sucks?
They're just old and fat. And that's the whole joke of the movie.
Will Smith is not fat.
No, he's not, but Martin Lawrence is.
Yeah, he is.
Like, that's the whole joke of the movie. And then, like, and it's played out after, like, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And they keep
Will Smith, he feels like did a lot of ad-libbing that just, like, eventually, like, wore off. Like, we're just like, okay, it's not funny anymore. I mean, all his big performances, I feel like he was just, like, enthusiastically ad-libbing. And now I'm just kind of like, oh, well, you haven't done much new, and you slapped Chris Rock, and I'm kind of off you.
I wonder if surely that's got to come up in something at some point.
What?
Him slapping him.
He did. He talked about it in one of his stand-ups.
Oh, I mean, like in a movie. Like, is he going to slap someone in a movie? He's going to make a joke?
He's probably pretty ashamed of it. I don't think he will, yeah.
All right, okay. Is it just me, or does Chris Rock look like he's had a lot of work done?
Lately? Yes.
I mean, when he gets slapped in the face, like, I'm surprised Will could, like, his hand didn't, like, shatter.
Yeah. Also, is it just me, or is Chris Rock, like, not that funny anymore?
No, he was never in the first place. I'm so glad you said this.
He had a couple really good specials. He had that one, actually, that was massively funny.
Oh, stand-up. Sorry, I thought we were talking about movies. Movies, not funny.
Movies, he's definitely not funny at all. Stand-up. Even his stand-up, I'm like, it's the same thing, cadence. I don't know. I saw his recent one, and I wasn't that impressed.
Don't love him.
Yeah,
I feel like there's better Chris's out there. There's a lot of Chris's.
For stand-up?
I mean, just in general.
Yes.
There's a lot of better Chris's. Pick one.
There's plenty of Chris's.
Hey guys, look, if you want to hear us continue bantering about our weeks, feel free to stick around. There will be time codes in the description if you want to jump around. As always, supplied by editing master Mr. Matthew Bliss of Bliss.fm. We'll also give you his details at the end of the show, so stick around for them if you want someone to master your podcast. But DL,
yes.
Question for you: on a scale of 1 to 5 dawns for the apes, I don't know where I'm going with this. How many stars should the listeners give our podcast on their podcast catcher of choice?
5 apes.
5 apes?
Yes.
Wowza. I think an ape could do 5 stars.
5 bapes.
It's that
Remember
easy.
what a bape was?
Oh, yeah. It was that weird little monkey thing.
It was like a monkey sweatshirt. They should give us 5 of those.
Yeah. I feel like
5 bape sweatshirts.
I feel like those apps are so easy. Even an ape could do it. Could give us 5 stars.
5 ape.
They've got opposing thumbs.
What do you call them? NFTs, non-fungible tokens. 5 of something.
Don't give us them; they're not worth anything. But we appreciate it if you give us a 5-star review. That would actually really help us out with algorithms, stuff we don't understand. We really appreciate it if you do. DL, what have you been up to in the last day?
Last day, I saw Pete Davidson's special.
How was that?
Yeah, it was. I liked it. It was funny. I was pretty surprised that he hadn't had one in so long because he's been like in the public eye. But I guess he does SNL. He probably doesn't have as much time to do like normal stand up, and he's just like,
is he funny?
Banging every chick.
I mean, literally,
maybe he's pretty busy.
I have no context on him other than what I've seen in the media.
There was some funny parts for sure.
Okay.
I thought it was funny. It wasn't like I wasn't like belly laughing, like
right,
but it's like I would say it's above mediocre, not quite above
mediocre.
It's above average.
He's mediocre.
No, above
B grade,
above mediocre.
Oh, I thought you were saying like mediocre works perfectly because mediocre is sort of like a BC.
Yeah, I get it.
It's a beautiful joke. I wish you'd have actually thought of that as a joke.
Keep it. Well, I think B is above average.
And B probably is. Yeah.
C is. Yeah.
But below B.
Anyway,
give me more things about.
No, I would just say that like there's a lot of stand up that's like, oh, okay, it's like it's a little bit better than the average stuff. There was one thing that like kind of struck home with me because I recently had to. I think I had one of the movies recently. I had to rent.
Annoyingly, we've had to rent a few of the movies
on Apple.
We didn't really want to rent.
I can't remember which one it was.
I can bet you any money it was either.
It was The Swarm.
The Swarm.
It was The Swarm. It was The Swarm.
Or The Wicker Man.
It might have been both.
Because I definitely had to pay for both.
Anyway.
Interestingly, I actually have a physical DVD copy of The Wicker Man because I couldn't find it online anywhere until friend of the show, Reegs, who's going to be coming on at some point very soon, actually sent me a link to one like this random.
Oh no, I watched
websites.
it on that. We found like a random streaming site. You're right.
Yeah, so it was definitely The Swarm. Which
point being,
who wanted to pay for that?
No one did.
Great content,
but
though.
Did you want to?
Great content, though.
Did you want to buy it? Is the question?
No,
because there was he had a bit where he was like, "Fucking man, like I hate the algorithms. These companies, they have it down. Like
right,
Apple, like they're trying to make me fucking." He's like, try and rent a movie. It's like $3.50 to rent, $5 to buy. He's like, fuck you, Apple, making me buy Jeepers Creepers 2. Like, and I like kind of struck home. And then I was like, should I try this out?
Well, let's look into this live on air. Why don't you?
I will. Because I was like, actually, that's really, really smart. Like, and for like crappy movies like that, you should make it close. But then like something like, you know,
Lord of the
critically acclaimed like Lord of the Rings or Inception, you'd think it would be more expensive. Let's see. I'm going into Apple.
Let's do something terrible like
The Swarm.
Because
we had to actually make this decision.
How much is The Swarm versus?
Actually, his whole entire stand-up skit falls apart.
Oh, okay.
Swarm is $15 to buy, $5 to rent. No wonder I rented it.
Apple?
On Apple, yeah.
Apple, fuck
Surely
you.
not. $15 to buy that movie.
Who's paying that for a film from 1978?
I bet you literally like less than 5 people have done that
in their entire life.
Like no, in the entire existence of this being on it.
I would say we are probably among the top 2 people to have rented that movie.
There may only be 2 renters this year.
Hello. Well, not this year, last year, let's be frank.
Oh, fair, yeah.
That's interesting. So is Pete Davidson worth a watch and would you recommend?
I would recommend.
Okay, all right.
It was like iffy though. There was some funny jokes. There was really, but like there was also some where like he talks about this stalker.
Oh, all right.
And that part got a bit weird. But then he talks another bit is about like how he thought he was gay because he was so into Leonardo DiCaprio when he was a kid.
I mean, and it was
pretty funny.
Yeah, we can absolutely sympathize with that.
It was actually pretty funny. Like that one, I was laughing pretty hard.
Okay, all right.
That whole bit.
Is it worth me going and checking out?
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I would say
Who do you liken him to? Because I've no, like I say, no gauge on him.
It's weird because he's kind of like a bro comedian. Like
Does he talk about any of his conquests in the show?
He doesn't talk about his specific conquests. He does have a lot of sex jokes. Yeah. And you're like and it says it in a way like he you can tell he gets laid. Yeah. But like he's not like super like, you know me, I'm the big, I get like, he's very subtle about it, which is probably why he gets so much pussy.
Probably.
Honestly. Never kisses and tells.
Do you think he's just like a tripod?
He must. Like, he's pretty tall.
He's tall. All right, he's tall. There it is. That's what he is.
I mean, he's pretty tall. Like, I'm just saying if it's proportional.
Sure.
Yes.
To me, he looks like a heroin addict. I have no idea why all these attractive women.
Well, he's got that weird goth chic.
Okay.
He does.
I'm not questioning.
Don't you think? Like he's kind of like the funny emo kid that like chicks are like, oh, he's like kind of weird but also hot, edgy.
I see. I saw a great meme the other day that was effectively just like, why do guys who are unattractive get laid so much? Why do funny unattractive guys get laid so much? And it was something like, well, your eyes are closed when you're laughing. I'm like, that's kind of dark but funny at the same time.
He's not like unattractive.
Yeah, for sure.
He's just pale. He just looks like he might have done heroin before. I mean, he does talk a lot about drugs on his on his special.
He's definitely got like a little problem somewhere along the line.
No, he does a lot of rack. he talks about it like enough on the show that you're like, yeah.
He's definitely a raccoon.
Yeah.
Big time.
He's a big. I mean, in many ways.
Okay,
the big bags under the eyes.
You could see it. He literally looks like he lives in a bin.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Like I say, I don't have a gauge on him outside of, the tabloids and what they say about him hooking up with all these famous humans. And I'm like, all right, there must be something about
he's
him.
Just like pretty funny. He's pretty confident and
he's a massive dick.
And and he's just capitalizing.
Yeah.
Well, John Mulaney's a big friend of his.
Okay, interesting.
Because in Mulaney's second thing, when he came back from rehab, that he talked a lot about it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway.
So I actually watched John Mulaney's stand up when he came out of rehab, his first one. It was all right. I felt like he was. I don't know. He felt like he was trying a bit too hard. Do you know what I mean? Like trying to recapture the old magic, trying to be like, yeah, I'm the old me. I'm not the guy from before. I'm like, did you do a line before you came out?
I don't know. I didn't get that vibe. I liked it. I think obviously his first one was like an iconic,
of course,
special. So it's like hard to top, but I thought it was pretty good.
Honestly, I think I turned off the new one. I got a bit done with his shtick. To be fair though, I have watched a lot of Big Mouth. The show that he voiced one of the main characters on. And like his voice now kind of grates on me a little bit.
I mean, it is a grating voice.
It is a very grating voice.
I mean,
perfect for that character as well.
As well as the pig one in Across the Universe, Spider-Verse.
Is he? Oh,
he's the pig.
It's
pretty fun. It's actually perfect.
He's good for that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got a couple of things I'll rattle off.
What are you up to, man?
I have been up to one of which I actually did over the festive period and completely forgot about until yesterday when I was trying to rack my brain for things I've been up to. I don't know how much you care about this. I think we've talked about it a couple of times. Doctor Who's back, and it's a thing that I used to love back in the day. It's a hard thing to talk about for someone who has no context on, but Doctor Who...
People love Doctor Who.
Of course. And
a lot of people.
Yeah.
And a lot of respected podcasters as well.
They really do.
They always do Doctor Who episodes, and I'm like, fuck, can we move on? Because I haven't seen it, and I'm not going to start. It's too long. It's too big.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
It's about Pete Davidson. Interestingly, so I have this thing where I'll flick in and I'll see what the new Doctor's like. Because it's a rotating Doctor. So like he does this thing where he regenerates, blah, blah, blah. People know this, except for you. I always like to see what the new Doctor looks like they're going to be like. And if I'm down, I'll give it a go. The last two, I've really not been invested. This one looks really fun. I've completely forgotten his name. Apparently he was in a lot of cool things. But they also brought back, to introduce him, they brought back one of the old ones that everybody really likes. Okay. Good way of doing it. Good way of bringing in a new character.
A little sandwich.
Yeah, you sort of like
ease him taster in. Teeth.
Knowing that the old one's not going to be around for longer than 3 episodes. So I watched the 3 with him in. They were a lot of fun, man. Third one, they were all different stories, very classic Doctor Who.
Love that.
Third one had Neil Patrick Harris in it, who really shows the pulling power of Doctor Who. You say it's got big fans. Like, it's super interesting that they can get Neil Patrick Harris.
Do you think he's that big these days?
Yeah, he does so much stuff. He's in movies. He got his own Netflix show.
I haven't seen him in anything.
It's clearly not in your zeitgeist.
No. But I didn't mind him in, what was it?
How I Met Your Mother?
Yeah.
He's great in that. That was just his kickoff point.
Yeah.
I think he's a real entertainer. And he's good in this as well. Like, he's got his own little weird character. They're a lot of fun. I kind of miss Doctor Who being good. I just wish they would take away half of the budget and go... Because the best thing about Doctor Who back in the day when I used to watch it was that it was a bit shit, and the story really had to make up for how shit it was. Mm-hmm. And the stories were always so good. Whereas now it's like the Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Just chuck a bit of money at the CGI. It's fine. Who cares? And they're just not as fun. And very quick, I recommend that, by the way. If you have watched any of Doctor Who and have maybe fallen off or just want to give it another try, like go and check out the Christmas specials. The David Tennant ones are fantastic. The new guy, Shooty something, I've forgotten his second name, that's really bad of me. He's also looks like a lot of fun. So go and check them out. The other thing I watched and actually made a YouTube video about, now this is quite fun. I made a YouTube video about the new Percy Jackson and the Olympians show on Disney Plus. So the first episode I really enjoyed. The whole YouTube video on it, go and check it out. I watched the first episode, obviously you don't have to. Man, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Like, very age-appropriate characters. Quite like the main dude wasn't an annoying kid. It was like, it had all the things I would have wanted in a show like that. And the synopsis of my video is like, yeah, go and watch it. The series is going to be great. And I haven't watched any since.
Well, it is like a famous book series, like a Tweety book series.
You said it yourself. It's got like a lot.
My brother really was excited for it. I'm going to text him, I'll text him now. See if he actually liked it. But
wait, the show?
No, yeah, if he's seen it, because he read the books and was super into them.
Well, apparently all right, so there was one in around 2010, which was a movie adaptation using a lot of the same beats from like the first couple of episodes, I believe, of this.
Yeah.
And it was apparently an absolute car crash. Like the characters were too old. They're supposed to be high school kids, but played by like classic American TV movies, played by like 25-year-olds.
Oh, God.
Whereas this is actually like kids, age appropriate, looks like a lot of fun, teen dramas. Yeah, I really enjoyed the first episode, and I'll probably go back to it at some point. I just haven't yet because we've been back. Stuff has happened. Haven't had a chance.
Life happens.
You should check it out though. See if your brother's into it.
Yeah,
report back by the end of the show. See what he says.
I doubt he'll reply. It's like 4 a.m. But you never know. College kid could be up.
Well, let us know, guys, if there's anything that you've seen that we haven't talked about. We really appreciate it when you send us over recommendations. We appreciate the recommendation for watching Bad Boys for Life. 44 Life. I don't know what it's going to be. That's going to be 44
bad. Life.
That's going to be bad, right?
Yeah, it'll be bad. There's no way it's going to be good.
I don't think I'm going to watch that. Maybe if we watch it for the podcast, but
just like it's not no. I don't want to.
Yeah, good. I'm glad that's how you went with it. Anyway, you can find us at podcastassemble or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. The usual stuff. www.podcastassemble.com. Find us everywhere. Send us stuff. Send us memes. What did we say last week? We said something along the lines of memes, news, reviews. Send us them all. We do appreciate it.
We would.
Deal. Do you want to preface our main topic?
Yes, and cue the theme.
It's the main topic theme.
Our main topic this week, as we've already hinted at and actually just said, is the dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Follow-up to the rise of the Planet of the Apes. Predecessor to
the Wolf.
I don't remember what the next one is.
This is one of our fantastic anthologies. We are coming back to movies we should have seen but haven't. I know this is one that I hadn't seen prior to coming into this. And they're also kind of in the run-up to the new Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which is coming out mid to late year sometime.
Which is another trilogy.
Which is going to be another trilogy. And so we kind of wanted to sneak these in beforehand because I've seen a lot about these. And like I said last time, I had to do like a whole university thing on them. It was basically had to create a campaign in quotation marks for this film. So I was like kind of really keen to get into this and give it a real go.
You created a campaign for this film without watching it?
Hypothetical campaign for this film. It was.
You really didn't do your homework when your homework was watch a movie.
No, like as in for this movie, I had to do a campaign for the release of this movie.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Why would I watch this movie when I've done the campaign for it?
Because to understand how you campaign the movie, you want to understand the content of the movie.
Campaign go well? I don't know.
It's like, what do you mean? Why do I have to explain this? Like that's a shocking level of procrastination when your homework is to literally watch a movie. That you would like to watch anyway, and you choose not to.
You know what's funny?
Fucking terrible student.
You know what it was, and there's two things here. So I talked last week about how I watched all of the old ones, including the weird Tim Burton one where he kisses an
hybrid ape. Yeah.
Very odd.
Yep.
And it was just in that weird time period before streamers really took off. So there was no way of getting that first movie, Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Well, there was.
Without pirating it.
Or renting.
We just worked out that renting's not that cost efficient, didn't we?
No, we did.
Let's not do
that. You could have.
I could have done, but I fucking didn't. And here we are. Let's do stupid plot summaries. All right.
I actually have two.
So I could say more stupid things.
I couldn't decide. There was two. So my first one is E2 Koba.
What?
Do you not know what that's? E2 Brute?
No, I don't know what that is.
It's what Caesar said to his top commander as he stabbed him in the back. Brutus. E2 Brute. It's very famous. It's Latin.
That is real deep cut.
That was highbrow.
Just like that knife going into Caesar's back.
Now this is my real one. If the real world events of 2020 to 2022 had a baby with a Shakespearean tragedy set in Rome with the major plot points of The Lion King, except with apes instead of lions. Facts.
That's real deep, buddy.
Facts.
I like what you did there. All right, mine. Proof that kids can change even the mightiest of apes. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes pits brainy apes and a smattering of humans in a wild competition for the ultimate title of Rulers of the Jungle Gym. That's all I got. I really struggled with this. So this is from director Matt Reeves, who you will know very well as being the director of Said the Batman with Batten Pattinson, or whatever we said a long time ago. And I was looking at this because I was interested because obviously Rupert Wyatt did the first one, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I will get that right at some point. So the reason why I didn't return was due to reported scheduling conflicts and the desire to take on other projects. Apparently, Wyatt explained that the quick turnaround between movies was too tight for him, and he couldn't fully commit to the project, which makes me kind of sound like he got pushed out for a better director. Like, scheduling conflicts doesn't really...
You never know. That is a thing. But it's also like a thing that people say.
Yes.
So you never know.
And we talked about his CV yesterday. It's literally yesterday, but last week we talked about his CV. To you people in the real world, we talked about his CV last week, and it's not huge. And like, there isn't a hell of a lot after this or even before this. So I wonder if he's just not particularly loved in Hollywood. Like, maybe he's just not failed up hard enough.
Maybe.
He needs to fail really hard. Well, anyway, so this film brings Andy Serkis back. We have a couple of new faces. We no longer have Mr. James Franco, thank God. We have Jason Clarke as Malcolm, who is from one of the Terminator films. We have Gary Oldman. We have Kerry Russell. We have Toby Kebbell. Now, I mentioned him last week because you will recognize Toby Kebbell, who plays Cobra in this badass character, as Doctor Doom from the bad Fan Forstic movie that we did when we were even worse at this than we are now. And you can really see that in this performance. You can see that face, that snarl, shall I say.
What did he play in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes? Sorry, I'm confused.
He was Cobra.
Oh, he was Cobra.
Yeah, he was the baddie. The bad guy.
Where is Cobra? I'm trying to... Oh, here he is.
He's the one with the badass face and the milky eye and the scars. He's
no, I know who Cobra is. I'm trying to see what the actor looks like.
Back to back, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. So, do you want to give me a little bit of the plot of this DL? You know, it's set in 2026.
Damn. We ain't got much time, boys.
We're rolling towards.
We are heading to
extinction.
Yeah, the plot here is really it's set what 10 years after the last one. Then it's 10 years. So. It's 10 years after the last one. I'm pretty sure because he says 10 winters and 2 without seeing humans. So basically, pretty shortly after the events of the first movie, which by the way, not having James Franco in this movie, can I just preface by saying. It made me realize how much worse he made that movie.
Oh my God! Because
I liked this one much better, even though it was just as heady and as the first.
Wait, you thought this was heady?
I thought it was
completely the opposite.
It was still heady. It asked different kind of questions.
Let's get into that.
We'll dive into that later. But my point being, like, it just made me realize how much I actually did not like him in the first.
My
movie.
God, he was one dimensional. But then saying that though, like Malcolm, the main character in this, who I just mentioned, who is Jason Clarke. He's not got a lot of dimensions to him. He's pretty straightforward. The writing
is like it didn't do either one of them any favors.
No.
But he was a better actor. That guy.
They threw him like a wife and a kid as like a background, and even that like didn't change the fact he was completely dull. But in saying that, they're like, you don't watch these monster films for the humans. Like, look at Godzilla. You don't watch that to see Millie Bobby Brown. You watch it to see Godzilla fuck shit up.
No, but I guess my point is the acting is better.
I mean, completely.
Anyway, net, this movie is about a fragile peace between the apes and the humans. Well, not really even a peace because they're not really sure if they're even exist. They're like 10 years after the pandemic, civilization has basically collapsed. There's a pandemic called the simian flu, right? That was caused by the release of the whatever the hell the virus was. It got
the virus in the first one. We saw it going around the airport
though, H33 or some shit.
Some dumb shit.
And that's been spread. Civilization has basically collapsed. There's pockets of humans. We follow basically the apes that have fled that live in the forest that we talked about in the last one.
A little colony.
And they've grown a little colony, a family. They've got teachers. They're teaching. They've got tenants. Apes don't kill apes.
Tenets in this.
Yeah, tenants. And then we also follow a ragtag group of humans that have kind of come together and actually like beaten the horrors of chaos and created some semblance of a civilization, a colony in San Francisco.
And it's interesting because within that, there are humans who are naturally immune to the virus.
Yes, well, all the ones that have survived. Basically.
The ones who have survived, yeah. And it's kind of interesting that all their backstories are effectively, they all lost families due to this virus. So the tensions effectively start when the humans try and find a way to get to a dam, which basically between them and the dam
their
is
colony,
the ape colony.
Is the ape colony that we, Caesar is now the leader of.
Yeah.
He has a son. He has a wife. They've got their own kind of culture.
Family.
It's very, very cute. Yeah. So that's the plot. That's the kickoff point. We follow this through the natural tension of these two, I guess, different communities, both kind of fragile in their own way and desperate in their own way. Like humanity fragile because it was so high and it's fallen so far, and
Absolutely.
they're trying to get back some of the mystique that like was basically like what they probably took for granted as basic
Absolutely.
accommodations. And the apes who have, you know, come from nothing and have like kind of found this stability and, you know, don't want to lose it because they came from being in cages.
Absolutely. That's a really interesting point you put there. And it's fascinating to see how far humans fall without all the stuff we take for granted. And I actually have a note here somewhere. I've completely lost it. It's about like when you see an animal who's that desperate, any animal, whether they're injured, whether they're hungry, they're usually their most dangerous. Whereas humans, we're just pitiless. We're the worst. At least we are. That's how we're portrayed in this. Like, I feel like there would obviously be different versions of that, but you know, like the worst of humanity effectively rises to the top. You know, like Gary Oldman's character, who's just a military guy. So he just knows.
He wasn't that bad though.
I also didn't think
you didn't
that
think he was the worst of humans. I don't know.
Of that group, What was his motivation at any point in this movie? Give me two.
Well, I guess we're getting off topic, but I would say his motivation is to lead the community away from literally the equivalent of the story of the road, which is what it was before, and create community and like common, you know, civilization again. And that's a pretty tough gig. Like, and it is I think it is a fair point. Like you have to look at the perspective of him where it's like, hey, if I actually think these apes are going to preemptively attack us, it has to be a part of the calculus that you're like, well, we have to prepare to defend ourselves. And if they're not going to let us go take the generator, we're running out of fuel. We're going to fall back into chaos.
Yeah.
We got to go take it. It's us versus them. I feel like you have to appreciate both perspectives.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that the movie is trying to make you, that's the thought, that's the heavy shit. It's trying to make you think in this, you know, here's two different governors, here's two different leaders, and they have very different problems. How do they think about it?
Sure. And maybe it's because I found so much in the first one. And I feel like when I was watching this, I found it a lot more straightforward. I feel like the storyline, and you can completely disagree with me as much as you want, and that'd be great.
Yeah.
I just feel like when I was watching this, nothing shocked me in this. And I didn't really think too deeply about any of the characters. I just thought military guy, Gary Oldman's character, who I didn't really follow his motivations. You see like a picture of him with his kids at one point. You're like, oh, he lost people. So did everyone else. Why did that make you so angry? You know, like I understood Koba's motivations. He was always going to be the one to stab the knife, as you say. The whole thing, it didn't feel like it really brought anything new to the table at any point.
I don't think that the first movie had any big surprises either. I think I was
surprised how much I got out of it. That's why.
Well, that's because you hadn't seen it. I guess like now you're coming in with the expectation of, okay, these writers, if it's the same ones, are interested. I don't know if it is in investigating strong themes, and I'd say this movie did the same. I would say where the first movie was all about defining like what is consciousness and what is ambition and its implications beyond humanity when we find it. I would say like the second film is more like it sets its sights on like an equally like big target of, hey, what the subject matters around the governing of the conscious and the morally complex roles, responsibilities, and relationships between communities of the governed, right? And the rulers and those that they're ruling. Like it's more about like how do civilizations run? And there's two different takes, and like you know what are the moral questions when like you have desperate people,
oh yeah, sure, absolutely,
and you have to make decisions. Like,
yeah, well, writers wise, Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver were two of the key writers for both. So, I mean, you're absolutely right. Those heady themes, I sort of highlighted through these, must have come from the good writing, and I do agree. But one of the things that really wildly not shocked me, the thing that kept me so engrossed was the CGI in this.
Yeah, it was good.
I thought the first one was good, but holy hell, this is like just a whole nother step up. Like we've talked about the Uncanny Valley before, and for anyone who doesn't know what the Uncanny Valley is, it sort of refers to the discomfort we feel when we're encountered with something human-esque or something with human-like qualities, especially with like CGI or like avatars and stuff like that, where it's nearly human, but it's not quite, and it makes you feel a bit like, oh, that's not right. A lot of CGI. You see a lot of CGI and you're like, holy fuck, that's weird. Or like, you know, when you see like the robots who have like an AI brain, and you're like, that looks human, but it's clearly not. Yeah, so that's what the Uncanny Valley is. But I did not feel that at any point with these. To me, these looked real.
Yeah, they're good.
To like 98%.
Especially when there was like light.
Yeah.
Like it looked more real when like there was light on the face.
So one of the things with CGI is people tend to do like stuff with heavy CGI at nighttime because it's easy to cover up where it's bad. Whereas this, like full daylight, just like
it looks good,
like close ups, zooming in and shit. I was like, my God, that is insane.
Yeah,
and they've probably got like a lot they can work from in terms of like animals to scan and stuff, but like. They've got that with humans too. Why don't humans look this good? It's just insane. Like I felt at no point uncomfortable looking at these. I felt like it was amazing.
Yeah. No, I thought the CGI was good. I also did find like the plot to be like, I wasn't surprised or shocked. Like it was predictable in a lot of ways. Like you knew what was coming. I think in like classic tropes.
Sure.
So like not like anything bad. Like not anything where I'm like, oh, this is so tropey and annoying. Like it was fresh because of the sci-fi setting and the post-apocalyptic setting. But I enjoyed the plot and I enjoyed the characters in it. And it wasn't just the CGI that kept me. It was the acting as well. I'll say this. There was no James Franco character that I got bored during. That's what I liked about it. There was no character. Like I couldn't find one actor I was like, this guy was terrible.
It's interesting. It's interesting because I think with the first movie, it was like, highs and lows.
Yeah.
So for every James Franco, you had a John Lithgow who was amazing. Whereas in this, there was no real standouts. So like Gary Oldman, whose, by the way, accent was fucking atrocious. The worst American accent I've heard on screen in a long time. Like everyone was pretty like 6 out of 10. You know what I mean? Like no one's putting in like the best performance of their career. You know what I mean?
No, but I think like I talked about last week, there was no like big tone shifts for me.
Sure.
It was pretty consistent.
Yeah.
So it kept me in pretty much the whole time. And Caesar, I enjoyed the like moral complexity of Caesar.
Absolutely. Same.
Like the way that it's a continuation of the first movie, but he's matured and there's more to him. And
well, he's the leader of the pack now in terms of he has been for a long time. And it's, it's when you've been a leader for a long time that people start to think perhaps they might have an opportunity themselves. One thing I did want to mention as well is like, I was trying to put my finger on like, because this is, as you say, a post-apocalyptic world in many respects, but
not fully though.
Not in the sort of like Mad Max way,
and not,
or like
not
a
for the apes.
Explosion
the
way.
Apes. This is bliss.
That's
the irony. Yeah.
I would call this like
that's a juxtaposition.
If I had to describe this visually, I'd say it's like the Last of Us world. Where nature is taking back over. Nothing catastrophic has happened, like in terms of explosions and stuff like that. It's more that nature has taken its course over the last 10 years, which I love. I actually really like that idea. I mean, we could do with it a little bit, to be fair, but I like that idea. And I think it's cool that, so many humans have been wiped out and they're so desperate and desolate that they, like they can't continue the upkeep of these seas.
Yeah, I prefer that too. I think the other part about like, the whole reason this is like overall I liked it is that there is like a little, and I talked about it a bit before, but there's a little like bit of truth to like both sides. Like you understand why Koba, he's the villain, and if it was just, and
he looks like the villain.
So he just looks so much, and he plays the exact same role. It's literally, that's what my dumb summary's got. But it's like you actually empathize with why he feels the way he does.
Completely.
Because his points are sound. It's like, if you let the humans rise again, what do you think they're gonna do?
And my partner was saying this the whole time. She was like, she said he's right.
And it's a totally morally sound argument. Like it's like the preemptive strike argument.
Yeah.
And it's more of like this moral argument that you're debating between Caesar and Koba. And it's an interesting one.
And then there's the moral argument about Caesar. Like, should he have cut out the bad weed? Should he have just killed Koba way earlier in the movie? And I mean, personally, just being a realist, that's what I would have done. I'd have just got rid of him like act one.
But then it's like, that's why why I think this is a pretty heady movie. There's a bunch of moral fiber complexity. Then it's like the Minority Report thing.
Sure.
Like, can you kill someone before they've actually done anything to deserve it? All he was doing was voicing his opinion into the community. Right?
Didn't he attack someone at some point? I'm sure he did.
Well, no. The thing, it kind of happened.
He was very subtle with it.
It kind of happened all fast. Like once he decided to go bad, he broke bad. He did it all.
And I hope everyone knows that we do full spoilers when we do these old movies, because the scene where he shoots Caesar is like, it's delicious. It's a fantastic
great scene. But it's also like, Caesar, how did you not like see what was happening? He was a very slow reaction.
Yes. I feel like you see the gun, you see the guy.
Like, you think he's just hanging out in the dark for fun?
Yeah. Like looking at you with that creepy ass face. You know what I'm like with my little nitpicks? My minor problem with that is, right, Caesar falls a long way. Like, his insides are porridge. I don't care what you think. Like,
didn't he fall into like a pool or something?
No, he falls onto the hard ground and rolls even further.
No, I thought it was more like he fell into like the river because there's a waterfall.
No,
and then he had crawled out later.
It's not. And they're so high up there in the cloud. He falls through the cloud, and his insides porridge. How he survives any longer than hitting the ground is absolute bullshit.
Yeah, but what else? What do you know? What else is crazy about this?
What?
The talking apes. Fucking dude. Come on, dude. You and your porridge. Like I get it with like Liam Neeson.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, come on. It's a talking ape.
Caesar's the new Liam Neeson.
It's a talking ape, dude. Suspend your disbelief.
The Apes watch is pretty amazing. The way that it's cool. Sort of like...
It is cool.
I do have another minor nitpick just with that. Did I say niner nitpick? That doesn't make sense. Minor nitpick with that. So, and this is one of my questions to this movie. How intelligent are these apes really?
Well, they weren't given education except for cave paintings.
No, they weren't. However, they are supposed to be on an intelligence level similar to ours, right?
That's they're supposed to have the ability to have an intelligence level similar as ours.
Okay. Yeah. But if they clearly have, control of fire, which they have in their possession at times. Possession is the wrong word, but you know what I mean? They're using fire in their home. Why then create your whole home out of wood? Surely you can use rocks. You can use other things that are going to make it slightly less flammable.
They did do some rocks. But I think it's also like, we knew about fire for years and we still built our cities out of it. It's just a matter of convenience. But also easily could set on fire. Yeah, but they've never had that. They've never had to deal with that issue. So why would they ever think about it?
Well, they might have a pyromaniac among them. Who knows? Like, if they're going to evolve at the same rate.
In hindsight, yes. But I mean, it's just naturally that they wouldn't like.
It's too goddamn flammable, man. Yeah. I do like the idea of making Caesar a family man as well, because it gives him a lot more to fight for in this. I feel like if he was just, like the single ape running around,
less reality,
hitting it where he needs to.
Yeah.
There's what's he fighting for in the end? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
And especially having the newborn as well. I think that's a sweet little twist on his character.
It was a very cute little.
I mentioned Gary Oldman's motivations. You've sort of really helped me understand them in this, because the thing that really got me was I felt he was pretty one-dimensional, and there's some areas that you've built out here for me, but his sort of.
He wasn't given a lot. You're not wrong, but I think his base motivation is meant to be the counterpoint to Koba.
But then what I was going to say, Caesar, what I was going to say there is going what you say about especially stuff like the Marvel movies, for example, is like, I shouldn't have to layer over all that shit. They should have made that a little bit more obvious. Just a little bit.
To me, it was clear. Like, why else would you go to war with them? There's no reason to. It's because they spell it out. They're saying we need energy. We're almost out of fuel. It's desperation. Simply desperation.
I felt like he's got an opportunity to, even have peace with the apes, and he just doesn't. His first instinct is to go full war.
Agreed. You could give a little bit more context as to why he's so like naturally going that way, but I think that the yada yada a bit. It's like, hey, 2 weeks we're out of fuel. What happens then? Everyone goes crazy, which kind of isn't really true. Like, if we run out of fuel, we still have, San Francisco doesn't snow. You could just light fire. It's like, I guess I get your point from that.
I think it's more that they actually saying that I'm ruining my own point here, but they back that up by saying that there was chaos effectively prior to them building this little community together. So I suppose it's almost got like this fatherly love for the community.
For sure, but like, it's got to be stronger than a bit of fuel, you'd think.
Completely. And the person I liked was Carver, who was the dude who went with Malcolm and team to go and try and fix the dam.
The worst.
Who was like the worst stereotype.
The worst. But he's also
why would you send that guy?
But it's also because apparently the yada yada that well too, because he had like information on the dam.
Only person who could fix the dam.
Yeah, but like he was so annoying, but like obviously a good actor because of it, because I like hated him. Ugh.
Yes, in like a King Joffrey way. He had
that. He was just like a fucking prick.
He played it really well. He was like the classic, like
the prick,
middle America,
like bigoted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wait, who's your favorite ape?
I mean, Rocket.
There's only one answer here.
Rocket's pretty understated. We like Rocket.
Okay.
No, but the best one is obviously the orangutan.
Maurice. Thank you. Yes. Maurice is the best ape in the whole thing.
Cool.
And Maurice gets shot.
Maurice is
wise. Devastated.
No, he lives.
Yeah, no, he gets shot in the face. Oh, like he pings off a bit of his giant face.
His flange.
Yeah, flange.
They grow those.
It's so do they?
So he can grow back probably.
Wow, that's interesting.
Once they become an alpha male, they grow a flange.
Well, interestingly, you will never be able to look at that orangutan again the same when you realize how much his nose looks like a butthole. Because it really fucking does.
Wow. That's highbrow shit.
I really like the sort of progression of this movie, and I think the pacing of it really works. Like, it's not, none of it's too fast, none of it's too slow. It sort of builds.
Yeah.
And I think the action, a bit like the action last week, it builds at like a perfect rate.
Same.
And then you see like the big revolt. You see the apes going to try and take over the humans.
The war was fun.
The war was so good,
Yeah.
and it was like well thought out.
Yeah.
And like I feel like even though you assumed that Cobra would just be like a menace, just going in and like beating shit up, like he was strategic. He would like he put the humans in a cage, and he took away Caesar's closest allies and stuff.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I feel like he was actually a pretty good tactician.
No, it was very like Roman like
Tell me
high
about
court shit. Yeah.
Really was. It really was. And I like that. I thought the interesting part and the bit that pushes. Oh, sorry. So Caesar gets fixed up by some fucking yada yada. He gets better over 2 days after being shot. And then the thing that pushes him back into action is that Koba is asked for his wife and newborn child to be brought to him.
Mm-hmm.
So you're assuming he's going to do the whole, lion
Regicide,
kill. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, regicide. Is that right?
King. Wolf
Yeah,
King.
right.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Right. Just the thought of it.
Yeah.
Could you fight back from being shot to fight your nemesis?
That was a bit unbelievable.
The whole final fight scene, I was a bit like, and that was the only time in the whole movie I felt the CGI got a bit wonky. I was like, this is a bit.
I'd like right up until the fight, it was really good.
Right.
Like when they were walking on the cross beams, I was like, actually, this looks like some of the best of it I've seen. And then they started moving quickly. I know what you mean. I feel
like they could have downplayed that a little bit. Like the bit where they were swinging from the chains.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't fucking Tarzan. Like, let's bring this in a little bit.
Yeah.
Smaller scale works better for these films, like you saw in the first one.
And why but separate question, why are they nuking the building where everyone is?
That's where I say that's where I'm like
a bit absurd.
That's where I'm like, what on earth, Gary Oldman's? By the way, his name is Dreyfus in this.
That was a bit.
All I heard was doofus the whole time. I was like, what are his motivations? Like, why is he doing this? Like, what? Like, the apes haven't done anything to you.
Well, I mean, they did. They overtook the colony. That's not true.
But yeah, I mean,
like that's blatantly wrong. Like they literally killed all the humans, and if they were the same species, might have raped them.
Well,
but they weren't.
Let's roll this back.
So imprison them in a cage.
I feel like in the first place, the very first place, if he takes a peaceful approach, he does the right thing, sending envoys, but not.
He never went to war with them. He didn't.
You're probably right. It's annoying.
He didn't.
Me. It's annoying me.
The apes pre-attacked.
You're annoying me. You're right. Yeah. I don't know. It's just something about that character just doesn't make sense to me. Then, like, what are his motivations? Give me 3.
What do you want from me, dude? I
just like giving you like a number of things to say to me. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I just feel like he is like a full systemic failure by him. Like every opportunity.
Yeah, I mean,
and it might not make sense.
I would actually argue
my feeling.
You're allowed your feeling.
Thank you. I
would argue his biggest failure was not killing enough apes.
Right, fair enough. Yeah,
because he let them take over.
Well, also he let them take the tank, which was
shocking. That dude that let him take like literally he's just standing above you. Shoot him.
Yeah, right.
You just heard your mate get like freaking yada yada.
Right.
Like, freaking aim up, bang bang.
Or with these things that are really good at swinging across. High beams and, maybe like power lines. Don't just stand on top of the tank. Just fire the gun from inside.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that hard. So anyway, Caesar and Koba have a big fight at the end. Caesar somehow wins, even though I suppose the big gash down Koba's
they did
helped.
give you a bit of a helper, like when the bomb went off.
Yeah.
Because he was losing, wasn't he?
Pretty much.
Yeah, before that. Yeah.
He was getting his ass kicked.
Honestly, every time I come up with a nitpick, they address it a bit.
I feel like they're pretty good at that.
Yeah, they are good at this. In this series.
Just about. Yeah, and it effectively ends. And I like the ambiguity of the ending. They're effectively sort of saying, war be coming.
Yeah, I didn't get that because like I was kind of like, part of me was like, well, why?
Well, there
was militaries coming, but like
Gary Oldman and his little team had got the radio and they'd got in contact with another area and they were sending a military strike.
Yeah, but surely like the military strike, like
well, let's go back to the
humans are pretty weak, aren't they? Like, well, surely we can be like, okay, the apes left now. We're good. Like, why do we need to fucking bomb?
Let's go back to last week. Why didn't they just wipe out the whole forest in the first place? If there were these human level intelligence apes who were pretty big threat.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean,
I think that the thing is there was like the big like the pandemic kind of became a bigger thing.
Of
They were
course.
like, oh, what's that ape story? That was kind of weird, but this is a bigger deal. But now it's kind of like we just got this whole briefing on how humanity's basically collapsed. Are they really going to spend their resources on the apes that have just said, hey, we're good, bye? Like, why would you?
Peace out, guys.
Anyway.
It's very true. We've talked a lot about tones and themes. Is there anything that we haven't touched on?
Dude, blood bonds versus shared experience, I think, is one.
Yeah.
You know, like, what is like family? Is it like the people you identify with and go through shared experiences with, or is it the people you like, you know, are more like blood and relatives?
Sure.
Like if you look at Koba and
Sure.
diplomacy versus war, man versus nature, all that stuff.
I got Cutting Out the Rot. They obviously got rid of James Franco for this movie.
Cutting out the
rot.
Clear the swamp.
Yeah, exactly right. More in that lines, but like a true leader has to make the hard decisions, and I feel like Caesar let the tribe down. You know, like he should have cut that rod out. Cut out that Koba.
Yeah,
he's a bad egg.
Koba, not ape.
Do you have 3 best and 3 worst?
I do. The entirely independent human and ape storylines I liked on their own. Like how they kind of were like, juxtaposed. Like one was like they're both desperate for entirely different reasons.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
They were kind of opposite. And then the CGI just like next level.
I got the CGI.
And I think mainly just compared to last week, the tone was pretty uniform. I liked that. I didn't like I didn't like last week how we had this goofy kind of thing and then this like really, really thoughtful, heady thing.
Yes, agreed. That's a bit like one of mine. I've got like I felt like the story was more straightforward this time. And I think that sort of, I mean, it fits exactly the same mold as in like it's just a one single connected line of story, whereby last week it did have that goofiness of, you know, he's a baby and then he's growing up and then he becomes the animal. I did have the CGI as well. And I just put like, I really enjoyed Koba's turn. I thought it was really nicely paced. It was like, you knew he was going to be the bad guy. He looks like the bad guy.
He literally looks so evil.
I still was like, how is he going to incite the war? You know,
like the framing of humans was really, I thought that was good.
I thought he was going to
That was a really good choice. Yeah.
I thought he was going to trick Carver into doing something, like attacking him. You know what I mean? I thought he was going to get all like, he'd shoot himself and pretend it was Carver that did. You know what I mean? Something like that. I thought that's how he was going to incite the war.
Yeah.
But I thought his turn was just like really nicely built to and executed. Any worse?
I guess the one of my worst would be like the whole ending where it was just kind of like, really, we all praise Caesar again, but war's coming, and it's like it kind of fell flat. I was like, what? That part.
I like that. I thought it was good.
It was. I don't know. Maybe it was just because I'm like, well, where do they go from here?
It does feel a bit like it feels
like we're exactly where we are. We're at the start.
You know, it feels like the end of the Death of Hallows Part 1. It's like, what have we actually achieved?
Yeah,
here?
like nothing. So there was that. The other part was for me was the Sun storyline. I liked it.
Didn't feel necessary,
but it didn't feel entirely necessary.
Yeah, agreed.
The Sun, like it felt like the Sun needed something else to do but I didn't hate it.
Unless he comes back in the next one.
Yeah. I hope there's an arc there. Like, we spent a lot of time with him, and I'm not entirely sure why, because it ended up just being Caesar having to fix his mess. You know what I mean?
I've got a feeling that the next one has Woody Harrelson in.
It does.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
I'm actually pretty excited about it, yeah.
I love Woody Harrelson.
Same.
Do you think he's actually...
I think it was like right around the same time as True Detective as well.
Do you think he's actually Matthew McConaughey's brother?
People say that. I don't understand why they say that.
Sorry, what was your third one?
I couldn't think of a third.
Oh, okay. I've got a couple. My first one was Gary Oldman's bad American accent. Have to call it out. Not good. Just be your English accent. Who cares? Nobody actually cares. You could have been an immigrant. The fact that Caesar survived that fall, porridge. Again, I'm sorry. And how intelligent are the apes, really? Their home got set on fire like that. Come on, man. Just put a bit of foundation in there, a bit of bricks, a bit of anything you want. Like,
yeah, like they learned in their masonry school when they were in a fucking cage.
All right, what we do now is we talk a little bit about the critical reception for the film. Starting off, can you guess for me the IMDb score?
I know this. 7.6.
It is 7.6. Let's skip on then to the Rotten Tomatoes percentage.
I'm gonna go 84.
Actually, 91.
Ooh,
that's pretty. I mean, like, all things considered, I definitely preferred this to the first one. And like the CGI is so good. The story's pretty straightforward. I can see that. Right.
Yeah. Rotten Tomatoes is pretty, it's either high or low. It's not a lot of 70s.
It's a Wild West.
Yeah.
And finally, Letterboxd, which is, all user scores, and it's always 3.6.
It's 3.6.
What do you think it is?
It might be 3.7.
It is 3.7. So finally, our rating system, which is, as we always say, the internet is binary. So is this better or worse than the most average movie we can think of, which is and forever might be Aquaman 2018?
I mean, there's a lot of similarities again. we are talking about a
full CGI army.
Full CGI army, a fight for the throne.
You're right. You're right.
A desperate kingdom.
You're right.
All the similarities are there, and I must say that this is
worse,
better.
Yeah, me too.
Aquaman 2018.
I love how you're trying to find ways into this. That's beautiful.
You got to do some
very similar. I like what you're doing there. All right, then. Do you want to do the trivia truffles to wrap up?
Of course, man.
Lovely.
My favorite part of the day.
Okay. We're going to get it anyway. Okay. True or false, DL? There were actually 3 clues of the fate of Will Rodman, James Franco's character, after the event of Rise of the Planet of the Apes in this film.
I hope.
False.
I think that's probably false because it's like 2 or something.
It is 2.
Yes.
You're right. You know what I did?
But I want to know what they are.
When Caesar returns to his house, a sign can be seen on the door with the letter X on the stoop, which usually meant in this universe that the person living there was infected with the simian flu. So it can be assumed he was one of the first to die of the plague. Also, Will's 80s era Jeep Wagoneer, whatever it says, is still parked outside the front and it's covered in vines and vegetation.
Meaning he didn't flee.
So effectively, he must have been one of the first to die from the virus.
Yeah, makes sense.
Which, makes sense.
I'm a bitch.
1 point for you as well. True or false, DL? The photographs of Dreyfus's children, as in Gary Oldman's, are actually images of the director's real-life children, Matt Reeves. True. Or is that false?
True.
Actually false. They're actually Gary Oldman's children. So strange, because those pictures looked really CGI'd.
They did.
Did they not?
They did, actually. I remember that. That's why I said something else.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's why I thought you might fall for that one, because I was like, they looked so CGI. True or false, DL? James Franco did not return to this film due to the public backlash to him sending inappropriate text messages to apes during the filming of the first movie. Is that true? Or is that false?
I heard that he sent used condoms.
Oh my God.
The apes.
And dead rats.
Yeah, and dead rats. No, that's ultimately true.
That was Jared Leto on the filming of the other film he did.
He's a douchebag.
Screwing of the Planet of the Apes. Okay, finally. In the original ending, the apes return to their forest home, pursued by a military tank. True, or is that false?
True?
Sort of true. They're actually pursued by a military battleship. Effectively, after Dreyfus blew up the tower, he said that he'd sent for the military to come after them. This is IMDb trivia, so it could be absolutely wildly nonsense. But director Matt Reeves apparently changed the ending to be more ambiguous following reactions from audiences, citing that the original ending skipped the emotional beats and should not be known in its entirety. There you go.
Fair
Interesting. Enough. Matt Reeves trying to make it a little more ambiguous. But DL, thank you for sticking with it.
Of course, man.
And thank you all for sticking with it. We do really appreciate it. We appreciate it when you come by and pass the pod to friends.
We do.
Want to wrap the show up?
5 stars, baby.
Give us 5 stars.
A big thank you to Matthew Bliss for mastering and editing this week's episode, getting all those cool sound effects, all that stuff. If you'd like to hire someone to do cool sound effects like the ones you heard today, head to MatthewBliss.net and book a consultation.
I don't know how many sound effects he puts in.
Main topic theme.
Yeah, he definitely puts in.
There's at least one. I think Tommy's subtle shade. He wants more sound effects.
No, I think absolutely
if
not.
You want,
it's more about how great the episode sounds, quality.
To hear episodes of similar quality, I'm sure he puts in the same amount of effort on his own podcast. Check out From My Home to Yours, an expat repat podcast where Matt and his wife share their experience and advice.
You don't need to be an expat or repat to listen to it. It's just real nice, wholesome content.
Yes, that is.
Check it out, guys. If you need a master for your podcast, a podcast master. It sounds like it's in the circus. He's the best, man. He's the one you want. So, DL.
Yes, man.
Thanks for sticking with it.
Of course, man. Thank you, Tommy. And until next time, tally-o!
Latest Gators.